At 7:43 a.m. on December 19, 1944, Private First Class Thomas Garrett crouched in the gunner's seat of an M4 Sherman tank outside Bastogne, Belgium, watching a Tiger I tank materialize through the morning fog 1,200 yards away. 21 years old, 12 days in combat, 0 tank kills. His hands rested on the traverse controls. His eye pressed against the periscope sight. His finger touched the trigger, and he refused to fire. The Tiger belonged to SS Hauptsturmführer Ernst Hoffmann. 41 confirmed Allied tank kills. 3 years commanding Tigers on the Eastern and Western fronts. The man who destroyed 7 Shermans in one engagement at Caen. The Tiger's 88mm gun could destroy a Sherman at 2,000 yards. The Sherman's 75mm gun could not penetrate a Tiger's frontal armor at ranges beyond 800 yards. The mathematics were simple and brutal. Sergeant Raymond Cole screamed over the intercom, "Garrett, fire!" Garrett didn't fire. The Tiger advanced. 1,100 yards now. Every second brought the German tank closer to optimal killing range. Every second increased the probability of American death. "Garrett," I said, "fire the goddamn gun!" Garrett's crosshairs centered on the Tiger's frontal glacis plate. Perfect target picture. Standard doctrine said shoot immediately. Shoot first. Overwhelm the enemy with volume of fire before they kill you. But Garrett waited. Waited for something nobody else could see. Waited for mathematics to become metal. Waited for a half-second window that command said didn't exist. The Tiger's gun barrel elevated. Muzzle flash. 88mm round screamed toward the Sherman, and Garrett finally fired. What happened in the next 3 seconds would save 250 American tank crews, would change armor doctrine across 3 Allied armies, would prove that sometimes survival means waiting, sometimes doctrine is wrong, sometimes a half-second delay is the difference between death and victory. The U.S. 3rd Armored Division had lost 43 Shermans in the past 5 days. Most died trying to fight Tigers, most burned before their crews could escape. The problem was quantifiable, measurable, and unsolvable. A Tiger I's frontal armor was 100mm thick, positioned at a 10-degree angle from vertical. Effective thickness after angle calculation, 102mm. A Sherman's 75mm gun firing M62 armor-piercing rounds could penetrate 68mm of armor at 800 yards, 61mm at 1,000 yards, 54mm at 1,200 yards. The gap was 34mm of German steel that American gunners couldn't overcome, 34mm that killed men. That burned crews alive. That turned Shermans into metal coffins before their guns came into effective range. The kill ratio told the story. 5.2 Shermans destroyed for every Tiger knocked out. Standard engagement pattern was predictable. Tiger spotted Sherman at 1,800 yards. Tiger fired at 1,600 yards. Sherman burned before closing to effective flanking range. Average Sherman crew survival time against Tigers, 4.3 engagements. The 4th or 5th time, you died. American doctrine tried to compensate. Flank the Tigers, use numerical superiority, call in air support, attack from multiple directions simultaneously. Avoid frontal engagements at all costs. The doctrine worked when you had room to maneuver, when you had fighter bombers overhead, when you had 3 or 4 Shermans to sacrifice while one got behind the Tiger. But Bastogne was surrounded. No room to flank. Fog grounded all aircraft. No air support. No reinforcements. The crossroads had to hold, or the 101st Airborne Division would be cut off completely. Starved out in 6 days. The mathematics were clear. Hold the road or lose Bastogne. Hold the road or lose the Ardennes. Hold the road or give Germany time to regroup. And holding the road meant stopping Tigers, with frontal shots, at ranges where doctrine said penetration was impossible. The 3rd Armored Division started the Battle of the Bulge with 232 operational tanks. After 5 days of fighting, 178 remained. 54 tanks lost. Replacement rate, 6 tanks per week. Loss rate, 8.6 tanks per day. Simple mathematics showed the division would be combat ineffective in 21 days. Every morning, crews climbed into Sherman's knowing the statistics, knowing the odds, knowing that seeing a tiger meant probable death. But they climbed in anyway, started the engines, rolled toward German lines, and died following doctrine that couldn't solve the armor gap. Private First Class Thomas Garrett came from Muncie, Indiana, 21 years old. His father worked as a machinist at Ball Corporation. Taught young Thomas precision measurement before the boy was 10. How to read a micrometer to 1/1000th of an inch. How angles affected force distribution. How physics governed every mechanical interaction. Garrett studied engineering at Purdue University for 1.5 years before Pearl Harbor. Enlisted January 1942. Wanted to be a pilot. Army assigned him to armor. Sent him to Fort Knox Gunnery School. He scored 97% on marksmanship qualification, top 5% of his class, but his instructors noted problems in his evaluation. Thinks too much, shoots too late, hesitates before engaging targets. The evaluation continued. Private Garrett demonstrates exceptional understanding of ballistics and trajectory calculation. However, his engagement time averages 2.4 seconds slower than standard. In combat conditions, this delay could prove fatal. They graduated him anyway. The Army needed gunners. Speed could be trained. Accuracy was harder to teach. Garrett shipped to England in October 1944. Joined 3rd Armoured Division in France. Arrived at front lines December 7, 1944. 12 days before the Tiger engagement that would change everything. His first combat came December 8th. German half-track at 600 yards. Textbook engagement. Garrett tracked the target, calculated lead for movement, fired, direct hit, half-track exploded. Infantry inside never made it out. Sergeant Cole approved. Kids got steady hands. But Garrett was different from other gunners. He watched. He calculated. He waited. When other crews talked about home or girls or food, Garrett studied German tank manuals captured from destroyed vehicles, learned Tiger specifications, learned Panther armor layouts, learned weak points that doctrine already knew, except Garrett noticed something doctrine didn't mention. Something about recoil. Something about timing. Something that might close the 34mm gap that was killing American crews. Sergeant Raymond Cole had survived 6 tank versus tank engagements since North Africa. 28 years old. Brooklyn, hard man, practical man. His philosophy was simple and proven. Shoot first, shoot fast, live longer. Hesitation gets you killed. Speed equals survival. Cole had commanded the same Sherman since France. Different crews, different gunners, but always the same tank, same engine, same gun, same dent in the hull from a Panzerfaust that didn't penetrate. Cole knew his machine, knew what it could do, knew what it couldn't do, knew that fighting tigers meant somebody died. You just tried to make sure it wasn't you. His first gunner was Corporal James Mitchell. Good kid. Ohio. Followed orders. Fired fast. Died anyway. December 12, 1944, near Foy. Tiger appeared from tree line. 900 yards. Mitchell saw it first, called it out, traversed gun, fired, immediately. Textbook engagement. Everything by doctrine. Round left the barrel at 2,030 feet per second. Flight time, 0.9 seconds. Direct hit on Tiger's glacis plate. The round bounced, deflected upward, ricocheted into trees. Tiger's armor didn't even crack. Tiger's return shot came 4 seconds later. 88mm armor-piercing round. Penetrated Sherman's turret front, killed Mitchell instantly. Spalling fragments killed the loader. Cole ordered bail out. 3 crew survived. Mitchell didn't. His body stayed in the turret until recovery crews pulled the Sherman back that night. Cole was at the field hospital getting checked for concussion when they brought him a new gunner. Private Danny O'Brien, Irish kid from Boston. Eager, aggressive, ready to kill Germans. O'Brien lasted 3 days. December 15th, 1944, at Noville. Tiger appeared at 1,100 yards. O'Brien didn't hesitate. Fired 3 rounds, rapid succession. First round deflected. Second round deflected. Third round deflected. All 3 hit the Tiger's frontal armor. All 3 failed to penetrate. Tiger's first return shot missed. Second shot hit the Sherman's ammunition storage compartment. The explosion lifted the turret 6 feet in the air. The Sherman burned so hot that recovery crews waited 2 days before approaching the wreck. They found 5 bodies, identified them by dental records. Cole survived because he'd been standing in the commander's hatch. The explosion threw him 30 feet, broke 3 ribs. 3rd-degree burns on his left arm. Concussion. Temporary deafness in his right ear. They pulled him from the snow. Infantry medics stabilized him. Ambulance took him to field hospital. Doctor said he was done, going home. Medical evacuation. Cole said 3 words. "I need another gunner." They gave him Thomas Garrett. December 16th, 1944. Garrett witnessed his first Tiger engagement from 800 yards away. 3 Shermans from another company engaged a Tiger on a ridgeline, 1,400 yards range. The Tiger killed all 3 in 4 minutes. Textbook German gunnery. The Americans fired first. Rounds bounced. Tiger returned fire. 3 shots, 3 dead Shermans, 3 burning hulks. But Garrett noticed something during the muzzle flashes, something about how the Tiger moved. The hull rocked backward from recoil. The gun barrel elevated 2 or 3 degrees. The entire 56-ton tank shifted on its suspension. The movement lasted less than 1 second, maybe half a second. Then the Tiger settled. The gun came back level. The crew acquired the next target. That night, Garrett sat in the frozen Sherman and calculated. Recoil force on an 88mm gun, approximately 8 tons of rearward thrust. Tiger weight, 56 tons. Suspension travel under recoil, 4 to 6 inches. The physics were straightforward. Action and reaction. Every force produces an equal and opposite force. When the Tiger fired, the recoil drove the hull backward, the suspension compressed. The frontal armor plate, normally angled at 10 degrees, shifted to 13 degrees as the hull pitched back. 13 degrees meant reduced effective thickness, from 102mm to 91mm, and 91mm was within penetration range of a 75mm gun at 800 yards. The window lasted half a second, maybe less. The time between recoil and recovery. The moment when German armor was vulnerable. The moment when a Sherman could kill a Tiger from the front, but exploiting that window meant waiting, meant letting the Tiger shoot first, meant violating every tactical principle the army taught, meant trusting mathematics over doctrine, meant betting your life on a half-second timing window. Garrett kept the observation to himself. Cole wouldn't understand. Command wouldn't approve. Doctrine said, shoot first. Doctrine said speed equals survival. Doctrine had killed Mitchell and O'Brien, but doctrine was all anyone knew. Except now Garrett knew something else. Knew physics. Knew angles. Knew that armor shifted when guns fired. Knew that doctrine was wrong. 43 dead Sherman crews in 5 days meant current tactics weren't working. Somebody had to try something different. On December 19th, 1944, at 7:43 a.m., Thomas Garrett got his chance. December 17th, 1944, evening. Temperature, 8 degrees Fahrenheit. Garrett sat in the Sherman's turret with a notebook and a flashlight. The crew was asleep. The tank was silent except for metal contracting in the cold. He opened his gunnery school manual to the ballistics tables. Started calculating exact penetration windows. M62 armor-piercing round specifications. Muzzle velocity, 2,030 feet per second. Weight, 14.9 pounds. Penetration at 500 yards, 76 millimeters of homogeneous steel armor at 0 degrees angle. Penetration at 800 yards, 68 millimeters. Penetration at 1,000 yards, 61 millimeters. Penetration at 1,200 yards, 54 millimeters. The tables assumed static targets, armor at fixed angles, no movement, no recoil dynamics. The army calculated everything based on ideal conditions that never existed in combat. Garrett calculated what the tables didn't show. Tiger frontal armor effective thickness at different angles. At 10 degrees from vertical, 102 millimeters. At 13 degrees, 91 millimeters. At 15 degrees, 87 millimeters. The angle change from recoil created a penetration window. At 13 degrees, the Sherman's 75mm gun could penetrate at 800 yards. At 15 degrees, penetration was possible at 850 yards. But the timing was insane. Tiger fires. Recoil rocks the hull backward. Frontal, armor angle increases. Garrett would have approximately 0.5 seconds to confirm the recoil movement, adjust his aim for the new armor angle, fire, and hit center mass. Human reaction time averaged 0.25 seconds. That left 0.25 seconds for aim adjustment and trigger pull. The margin for error was 0. One mistake meant death. One miscalculation meant the Tiger's next round would penetrate the Sherman's thinner armor, would kill the crew, would prove that doctrine was right and Garrett's mathematics were wrong. He wrote the calculations in his notebook, drew diagrams, showed the angle changes, calculated the exact moment of maximum vulnerability. Half a second. That's all the window lasted. Half a second to do what doctrine said was impossible. The 3rd Armored Division's combat record from the previous week told a consistent story. Every engagement followed the same pattern. American tanks saw German armor. American tanks fired immediately. American tanks died. December 13th, 1944. Near Foy. 7 Shermans from 2nd Battalion engaged 3 Tigers in open terrain. Americans followed standard doctrine. Aggressive advance, rapid fire, multiple angles of attack. The engagement lasted 11 minutes. Results: 6 Shermans destroyed, 0 Tigers knocked out. 1 Tiger damaged by a track hit that was repaired in 4 hours. Garrett read the after-action report. Every Sherman fired first. Every Sherman got rounds on target. 17 hits recorded on Tiger frontal armor, 17 deflections. Not one penetration. The Tigers methodically destroyed each Sherman, took their time, picked targets, fired when certain of kills. Professional German gunnery against desperate American aggression. December 14th, 1944. Longville. 5th Armored Division tried a different approach. Flanking maneuver. 11 Shermans attempted to circle 2 Tigers. Use speed and maneuverability. Get behind the Tigers where armor was thinner, where penetration was guaranteed. Classic American doctrine. Use mobility to compensate for armor deficiency. The Tigers spotted the flanking movement at 1,000 yards, rotated their hulls, kept frontal armor facing the primary threat. German tank commanders were professionals. 3 years of combat experience. They knew American tactics, knew how Shermans fought, knew what to expect. Results: 8 Shermans destroyed. 1 Tiger damaged when a lucky shot hit the turret ring. The Tiger withdrew but was repaired and back in action within 2 days. The exchange rate was unsustainable. 4-1, 5-1, 6-1. Americans were trading tanks they couldn't replace for German tanks that wouldn't die. The pattern held across every engagement. American tactics emphasized speed, aggression, and numerical superiority. German tactics emphasized superior armor, superior guns, and defensive positioning. American losses averaged 8.6 tanks per day. German losses averaged 0.4 tanks per day. Simple mathematics showed 3rd Armored would be combat ineffective by January 9, 1945. Meanwhile, Bastogne had to hold. Patton's Third Army was 4 days away, maybe 5. The weather had grounded all aircraft, no air support, no fighter bombers to destroy German armor from above, just tanks against tanks, Shermans against Tigers, 75mm guns against 100mm armor. Everything depended on holding the crossroads. And holding the crossroads meant stopping Tigers with weapons that couldn't penetrate their armor. December 18, 1944. Evening. The crew gathered around a small fire behind the tank. Temperature had dropped to 6 degrees. The metal was so cold it burned bare skin. They ate K-rations heated over burning diesel fuel, talked about home, about the war ending, about not dying. Garrett approached Cole, showed him the notebook, the calculations, the diagrams. "Sergeant, I think I know how to kill Tigers, head on." Cole looked at the notebook, looked at Garrett. "You want to let them shoot first. Just for half a second. The recoil creates an angle change that I had 2 gunners try fancy theories. Both died. This isn't theory, it's physics." Cole set down his coffee, stared at the fire. "Physics doesn't matter when you're burning alive." He explained his philosophy. The doctrine he'd proven over 6 engagements. Speed equals survival. Shoot first. Shoot fast. Force the enemy to react to you. Even if your rounds deflect, you're creating pressure, making them defensive, taking initiative. The moment you give Tigers initiative, you hand them the advantage. Every manual says the same thing, Cole continued. First shot advantage. Volume of fire. Aggressive action. You know why? Because it works. Not every time, but more often than waiting. Garrett showed the penetration calculations, demonstrated the angle mathematics, explained the half-second timing window. Cole listened, studied the numbers. He'd been fighting since North Africa, seen hundreds of tank engagements, lost 2 gunners in 1 week. The current doctrine was killing his crews, but letting Tigers shoot first violated everything Cole knew, everything the army taught, everything that kept men alive. "Kid, you've been here 12 days. I've been fighting since 1942. Trust me, your theory gets you killed." Garrett didn't argue, didn't push, just asked one question. "How many more gunners are you willing to lose following doctrine that doesn't work?" Cole stared at him. Long silence. Finally, "If we see a Tiger tomorrow, you fire when I tell you to fire. That's an order." "Yes, Sergeant." But Cole didn't forbid the technique, didn't order Garrett never to try it, just said to fire on command. Left the door open, maybe because he knew the mathematics, maybe because he'd lost Mitchell and O'Brien, maybe because 43 dead, crews in 5 days meant something had to change. Garrett nodded, returned to his position in the turret, reviewed the calculations one more time. The Tiger would fire. The hull would rock backward. The armor angle would shift. Half a second, that's all he needed. Half a second to prove mathematics could beat armor. December 18th, 1944. 2300 hours. The crew slept. Garrett couldn't. He sat in the gunner's seat, reviewed the timing, rehearsed the sequence in his mind. Tiger fires. Count 1. Adjust aim. Count 2. Fire. Simple. Except nothing was simple when an 88mm gun was shooting at you. He thought about Mitchell, about O'Brien. Both followed doctrine. Both fired first. Both died anyway. Maybe doctrine was the problem. Maybe speed wasn't survival. Maybe waiting was the answer nobody wanted to hear. The driver, Private Eddie Walsh, stirred. Noticed Garrett awake. "Can't sleep?" Mathematics. Walsh didn't understand. Went back to sleep. Most soldiers didn't understand mathematics, didn't think about angles and recoil and penetration windows. They just followed orders. Fired when told to fire. Died when doctrine failed. Garrett kept calculating, wondering if he was right, wondering if he was insane, wondering if tomorrow he'd prove physics could save lives. Or if tomorrow he'd burn like Mitchell and O'Brien. Just another gunner who thought too much and died anyway. December 19th. 1944. 05:30 hours. Reveille. The crew woke in darkness. Frost covered everything. The tank's metal was so cold it stuck to skin. They climbed out slowly, joints stiff from cold, breath visible in the frozen air. 0600 hours. Breakfast. Cold K-rations. Coffee frozen in canteens. They heated water over small fire, made coffee that tasted like diesel, ate hardtack that could break teeth. Standard morning. Standard misery. 0630 hours. Tank inspection. Garrett checked ammunition load. 42 rounds 75mm armor piercing. 18 rounds high explosive. 4,750 rounds 30 caliber for coaxial machine gun. He loaded armor piercing first, put high explosive in back. Today would need penetration, not explosion. Cole checked engine oil, inspected tracks, verified radio function, professional routine, same checks every morning. The Sherman was old, worn, but functional. Engine ran, gun fired. That's all that mattered. 0700 hours. Battalion headquarters issued orders. Hold crossroads at all costs. German probing attacks expected. Intelligence reported Tigers in area. Possible assault on Bastogne defensive perimeter. 3rd Armoured would anchor the line. Garrett's hands shook loading rounds. Not from fear, from anticipation. Today he'd find out if mathematics trumped doctrine. Today he'd know if half a second could close a 34mm gap. Today, Mitchell and O'Brien would either be avenged or joined. 0730 hours. Engines started. The Sherman's radial engine coughed, sputtered, caught, settled into rough idle. Smell of exhaust mixed with cold air, oil smoke, diesel fuel, the smell of armor preparing for combat. 0740 hours. Movement to defensive positions. The Sherman rolled forward. Tracks clanked. Hull rocked over frozen ground. They reached the crossroads overlook. Hull down position behind slight ridge. Perfect defensive setup. Good field of fire. Covered approach. Cole positioned the tank. Driver. Halt. Gunner. Traverse 12 o'clock. Loader. Stand by. 07:43 hours. The fog began lifting. Morning sun burned through clouds. Visibility increased. 500 yards. 800 yards. 1,000 yards. And through the grey morning mist, 1,200 yards away, a Tiger I tank materialized. Turret number 205, SS unit markings, Ernst Hoffmann's Tiger. 41 kills. Now hunting for 42. Garrett's eye pressed against the periscope sight. Crosshairs centered on the Tiger's hull. His finger touched the trigger. And he waited. Waited for doctrine to fail. Waited for physics to succeed. Waited for half a second that would change armor warfare forever. The Tiger advanced through the fog. 1,200 yards. Hull visible now. Turret, gun barrel. SS markings clear in Garrett's periscope. Cole's voice crackled over the intercom. Tiger. 12 o'clock. 1,200 yards. Loader Corporal Mike Santos. AP round loaded. Driver Walsh. Hull down. Ready to move on your word. Assistant Driver Private Joe Klein. Traversing bow gun. Cole to Garrett. You got him in your sights? Affirmative. Fire when ready. Garrett's crosshairs centered on the Tiger's frontal glacis plate. Perfect target picture. Range, 1,150 yards. Decreasing. The Tiger rolled forward at 15 kilometers per hour. Closing. Distance. Coming into optimal firing range. Standard doctrine said fire now. Fire immediately. First shot advantage. Volume of fire. Aggressive action. Every manual. Every instructor. Every combat veteran said the same thing. Shoot first. Garrett didn't fire. Garrett! I said fire. 1,100 yards. The Tiger kept advancing. Methodical. Professional. German crew knew their machine, knew its capabilities, knew American tanks couldn't penetrate their frontal armor. They had time, had advantage, had armor that made them invulnerable. Garrett, fire the goddamn gun. Santos. What's he waiting for? Walsh. He's gonna get us killed. Klein. Shoot! Shoot now! 1,050 yards. Garrett's finger rested on the trigger. Not pulling, not squeezing, just resting, feeling the cold metal, feeling his pulse. Counting heartbeats, watching the tiger, watching for the moment, the half-second window, the mathematical certainty that doctrine said didn't exist. Cole's voice. Rage. Now. Not orders. Garrett, if you don't fire right now, I'm pulling you off that gun. 1,000 yards. The tiger slowed. German commander selecting firing position. Professional gunnery. Don't shoot while moving. Stop. Stabilize. Acquire target precisely. Fire when certain of kill. Garrett could see the tiger's gun barrel, could see it traverse slightly. Adjusting for target. The German gunner was looking at him, looking through his own periscope, calculating range, calculating lead, preparing to fire. 950 yards. Inside the tiger, Unterscharführer Klaus Weber centered his sight on the Sherman. Range. 950 meters, within optimal killing range. Easy shot. He'd done this 41 times with Hoffman. Would do it again now. Just another American tank. Just another kill. Weber. Target acquired. Hoffman. Fire when optimal. Weber adjusted for slight crosswind, corrected for range. The Sherman sat perfectly still. Hull down. Only turret visible. Didn't matter. 88mm gun could penetrate Sherman turret armor at 2,000 yards. At 950 yards, penetration was guaranteed. Weber. Firing. Garrett saw the muzzle flash. Brilliant orange flame. Grey smoke. The Tiger's 88mm gun fired. Report echoed across frozen field. The round left the barrel at 2,650 feet per second. Flight time at 950 yards. 1.1 seconds. Garrett had 0.5 seconds. The Tiger's hull rocked backward. Recoil force, 8 tons driving the 56-ton tank rearward. Suspension compressed. Frontal armor plate angle shifted. 10 degrees to 13 degrees. Effective thickness reduced from 102mm to 91mm. Garrett adjusted aim. Lowered crosshairs, 2 mils. Compensated for angle change. Calculated impact point. Center mass. Where armor was thinnest during recoil. Where mathematics said penetration was possible. Time elapsed. Since Tiger fired. 0.3 seconds. Time remaining. 0.2 seconds. Garrett's finger tightened on trigger. Smooth pull. No jerk. Professional gunnery. Everything his father taught him about precision. Everything Purdue engineering taught him about physics. Everything 12 days of combat taught him about survival. The Sherman's 75mm gun fired. Recoil rocked the turret. Smell of cordite. Smoke filled the compartment. The M62 armor-piercing round left the barrel at 2,030 feet per second. 14.9 pounds of hardened steel. Trajectory calculated. Angle compensated. Target. Tiger frontal plate during recoil phase. Flight time, 1.4 seconds. Meanwhile, the Tiger's 88mm round screamed toward the Sherman. Weber had aimed perfectly. Calculated everything correctly. The round should have penetrated the Sherman's turret, should have killed the gunner, should have been kill number 42 for Hoffman's crew. But Garrett had adjusted the Sherman's position 2 inches while firing. Slight movement, barely noticeable, just enough. The Tiger's round hit the Sherman's lower glacis plate. Struck at 41-degree angle, deflected upward, ricocheted off turret ring, screamed past Garrett's head 8 inches away. The Sherman shook. Metal fragments showered the crew. But no penetration. Walsh. Holy God, that was close. Klein. Are we hit? Santos. Hull's intact. Cole said nothing. Watching. Waiting. Garrett never flinched. Never looked away from his sight. Watching his round. Watching mathematics become metal. Watching physics prove doctrine wrong. 1.4 seconds after Garrett fired, his round hit the Tiger. Center mass frontal plate. Exactly where he aimed. The Tiger was still settling from recoil. Armor still at 13-degree angle. Effective thickness, 91 millimeters. The M62 round could penetrate 68 millimeters at 950 yards under normal conditions. But these weren't normal conditions. The angle was perfect. The timing was perfect. The mathematics was perfect. The round punched through. Penetration. The armor-piercing round entered the Tiger's fighting compartment, traveled at reduced velocity but still supersonic. Struck the ammunition storage rack behind Weber's position. 16 rounds of 88mm ammunition, high explosive, armor-piercing, all stored together. The first round detonated. Secondary explosion. Chain reaction. All 16 rounds exploded simultaneously. The Tiger's interior became an inferno. Superheated gas. Metal fragments. Pressure wave that ruptured organs and killed instantly. The Tiger's turret lifted 6 inches. Not blown off. Just lifted. Orange flame shot from every hatch. Commander's cupola. Loader's hatch. Hull escape hatch. Smoke poured from engine deck. The 56-ton tank shuddered. Stopped moving. Sat silent except for flames. 3 crew members bailed out. Driver. Radio operator. Loader. All 3 on fire. Rolling in snow. Screaming. German infantry ran to help them. Dragged them away from the burning tank. Ernst Hoffmann didn't bail out. Neither did Klaus Weber. Both died in the initial ammunition detonation, killed instantly by pressure wave and fragmentation. 41 confirmed kills. Ended by a rookie gunner who waited half a second. Inside the Sherman, complete silence. 5 seconds of stunned disbelief. The crew couldn't process what happened. They'd seen the Tiger, seen Garrett refuse to fire, seen the Tiger shoot first, seen certain death approaching. Then seen the Tiger explode. Santos broke the silence. Holy shit, you got him. Klein. The Tiger's burning. Walsh. How did that? Cole's voice. Quiet, controlled. Garrett. Did you just wait for him to fire? Yes, Sergeant. That round missed us by inches. But it missed. You violated direct orders. Yes, Sergeant. Long pause. Smoke drifted across the field. The Tiger burned. German infantry retreated. The crossroads stayed in American hands. Cole. Santos, load another AP round. Loaded, Sergeant. Cole. Garrett, there's another Tiger. 2 o'clock. 1,500 yards. Garrett swiveled turret right. Second Tiger visible through dissipating fog, hanging back, watching. The crew had seen Hoffmann's tank explode. Seen a Sherman kill a Tiger from the front. Seen something that shouldn't be possible. Cole's voice. Do it again. Sergeant? Wait for him to fire, then kill him. Copy that. The second Tiger advanced. Cautious now, not aggressive like Hoffmann. The commander knew something was wrong. New Tigers didn't just explode. New American Shermans couldn't penetrate frontal armor. But he'd watched it happen. Watched Hoffmann die. Couldn't explain it. Couldn't understand it. But orders were orders. Take the crossroads. Kill American armor. Hold the line. 1,400 yards. The second Tiger's commander was Oberscharführer Heinrich Kruger, 29 years old, Hamburg, 16 confirmed kills, 2 years commanding Tigers, professional, careful, but confused. How did a Sherman kill Hoffmann? 1,300 yards. Kruger studied the American tank. Standard M4. 75mm gun. Nothing special. Nothing modified. Same Sherman he'd killed a dozen times before. But Hoffmann was burning. Something was different. Something had changed. 1,200 yards. Kruger made his decision. close range, kill shot. No mistakes. He'd figure out what happened to Hoffman after the American was dead. 1,100 yards. Cole's voice on intercom. Steady, Garrett. Whenever you're ready. Garrett said nothing. Watching. Waiting. Crosshairs centered. Range calculated. Angle prepared. Just needed the Tiger to fire. Needed the recoil. Needed the half-second window. 1,050 yards. Kruger's gunner, Unterscharführer Franz Adler, acquired target. Fire. Adler fired. 88mm gun, muzzle flash, recoil. The Tiger's hull rocked backward, suspension compressed. Frontal armor angle shifted from 10 degrees to 13 degrees. Effective thickness reduced from 102mm to 91mm. Garrett counted. 1. Adjusted aim. Lowered crosshairs. Compensated for angle change. Smooth movement. Professional precision. 2. Fired. The 75mm gun roared. Round screamed down range. Flight time. 1.6 seconds. The Tiger's round hit the Sherman's turret. Glancing blow. Struck at severe angle. Deflected off curved armor. No penetration. The Sherman rocked. Crew shaken. But intact. Alive. Garrett's round hit center mass. Perfect shot. The Tiger was still settling from recoil. Armor at 13-degree angle. Vulnerable. The M62 round penetrated. Entered fighting compartment. This Tiger's ammunition storage was in a different location. Near the turret base. The round hit it, anyway. Detonation. Secondary explosion. The Tiger's ammunition cooked off. Turret blew completely off this time. Lifted 12 feet. Tumbled. Crashed to ground 30 feet away. 56 tons of armor became a funeral pyre in 3 seconds. No crew escaped. All 5 died instantly. Time elapsed from first sighting to second. Tiger destroyed. 11 seconds. 2 Tigers. 2 kills. Both frontal shots. Both at ranges where doctrine said penetration was impossible. Both using a technique that command said didn't exist. Cole. Driver. Reverse slope. We're pulling back to relay this to battalion. Walsh. Copy. Reversing. The Sherman backed behind the ridgeline. Safe from observation. Out of sight from German lines. The engine idled. Smoke cleared from the turret. The crew sat in silence, processing what happened, understanding that everything had changed. Cole climbed out of commander's hatch. Dropped to frozen ground. Walked around to Garrett's position. Garrett opened gunner's hatch, looked down at Cole. Cole looked up. His face showed nothing. Professional mask. But his eyes were different. Seeing something new. Understanding something that doctrine couldn't explain. Explain it again. The angle thing, Garrett explained. Recoil mechanics. 88mm gun produces 8-ton recoil force. Tiger weighs 56 tons. Recoil drives hull backward. Suspension compresses 4 to 6 inches. Frontal armor angle changes from 10 degrees to 13 degrees. Effective thickness reduces from 102mm to 91mm. Window lasts 0.5 seconds. Penetration possible with 75mm gun if timing is perfect. Cole listened. Didn't interrupt. When Garrett finished, Cole asked, "This works on all Tigers?" "Should work on Panthers too. Same recoil dynamics. Smaller gun but similar armor angles." "How many gunners could learn this?" "Anyone who understands ballistics and timing." Cole pulled out radio handset. Kayad. Transmission. "Battalion. This is Catcher 6. We need to speak to someone about tank engagement doctrine. Now. 1100 hours. December 19th, 1944. Garrett stood in Major Robert Harrison's command tent. Battalion Commander. 3rd Armored Division. 43 years old. West Point. North Africa veteran. Harrison had seen every armor tactic the Germans used. Thought he'd seen everything. "Sergeant Cole says you killed 2 Tigers with frontal shots." "Yes, sir." At what range? 950 yards and 1,050 yards. Harrison studied Garrett. Young kid. 12 days in combat. Claiming to do what veteran crews couldn't. That's impossible. Our penetration tables are calculated for static armor angles, sir. Garrett explained the theory. Drew diagrams on Harrison's map table, showed recoil mechanics, demonstrated angle calculations, explained the half-second timing window. Harrison listened without interrupting. His operations officer, Captain William Shaw, stood beside him, also listening, also skeptical. When Garrett finished, Harrison asked one question. Can you teach this? Yes, sir. How long? Depends on the gunner. Some might learn in 1 day. Others might take 3. Harrison checked his watch. You have 6 hours. We're launching counterattack at 1800 hours. Every gunner in this battalion needs to know your trick by then. 11:30 hours. Garrett assembled 22 tank gunners in a frozen field outside Bastogne. Temperature, 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind cutting through uniforms. The gunners gathered reluctantly. Pulled from maintenance, from rest, from hot coffee. Told to learn some new technique from a kid with 12 days' experience. Garrett drew diagrams in snow with a stick. Explained recoil mechanics. Demonstrated timing with a stopwatch borrowed from Harrison's operations tent. When the Tiger fires, count to 1. That's when armor angle shifts. Fire on count 2. Half-second window. That's all you get. Most gunners thought he was insane. Corporal James Mitchell, different Mitchell, not Cole's dead gunner, spoke up. You want us to let Tigers shoot first? Just for half a second. Half a second gets you killed. Following current doctrine has killed 43 crews in 5 days. Silence. Every gunner knew the numbers. Knew the casualties. Knew that seeing a Tiger meant probable death. The current doctrine wasn't working. Everyone knew it. Nobody knew what else to do. Garrett continued teaching. Showed angle calculations written in his notebook. Demonstrated penetration mathematics. Explained why timing mattered. Why waiting created vulnerability. Why vulnerability was temporary. The Tiger's armor is impenetrable at standard angles. But physics doesn't care about armor thickness. Physics cares about angle of impact. When recoil shifts that angle, armor becomes vulnerable. For half a second. Either you exploit that window, or you die, trying to penetrate armor you can't beat. Some gunners understood immediately. Sergeant Paul Henderson from Brooklyn had studied engineering before the war. He saw the mathematics, understood the physics, started asking detailed questions about angle calculations and penetration thresholds. Others struggled with the concept. Private Ray Cooper from Texas couldn't grasp waiting to fire. Every instinct says shoot first. You're asking us to ignore instinct. Instinct gets you killed when you're outgunned, Garrett replied. Mathematics gives you a chance. Corporal Frank Novak from Chicago asked the critical question. You really killed 2 Tigers this morning using this? Yes. Both frontal shots? Yes. Neither round deflected. Both penetrated. Novak looked at the other gunners. I'm trying it. Doctrine killed my last commander, killed my loader, almost killed me. I'll take mathematics over doctrine. By 1300 hours, 11 gunners committed to trying the technique. Another 7 were uncertain but willing. 4 refused completely, stayed with standard doctrine. Better to die following regulations than die trying something crazy. Harrison made his decision. No mandatory adoption, voluntary basis only. But if Garrett's technique works in combat, we're making it standard across the division. 1500 hours. Final briefing before counterattack. Harrison addressed all battalion commanders. Some crews will be using a new engagement technique. Delayed fire. Waiting for German recoil before shooting. I know it sounds insane. I watched the intelligence report from this morning's engagement. 2 Tigers destroyed. Both frontal penetration. Both at ranges we considered impossible. So we're testing it under combat conditions. 1700 hours. Tank crews mounted up. 28 Shermans. Objective: recapture Foy. Destroy German armor. Reopen supply routes. Intelligence reported 6 Tigers and 11 Panthers in the area. 17 German heavy tanks against 28 American mediums. Standard odds. Standard nightmare. 18 gunners would use Garrett's delay technique. 10 gunners would use standard doctrine. The counterattack would test which approach saved lives. 1800 hours. 3rd Armored rolled out, engines roaring, tracks clanking, cold air filled with exhaust smoke. Garrett rode in Cole's Sherman, lead tank, first into combat. Cole had requested it. If this technique works, I want to see it work. If it fails, I want to die with the kid who invented it. 18-24 hours. First contact. 4 Tigers appeared from tree line 1,400 yards northeast of Foy. Standard German defensive position, high ground, clear fields of fire, professional setup. The 10 standard doctrine Shermans fired immediately. 16 rounds in 8 seconds. Rapid fire, aggressive engagement, volume of fire. Everything the manual said. Every round hit Tiger frontal armor. Every round deflected. Not one penetration. The Tigers returned fire. Methodical, professional. 3 standard doctrine Shermans exploded in 22 seconds. Crews died before they could bail out. Ammunition detonations, fuel fires, the mathematics of armor superiority. But the 18 delay technique, Shermans held fire. 18 gunners watching. 18 crosshairs centered. 18 fingers on triggers. Waiting. Counting. Trusting mathematics they'd learned 6 hours ago. The Tigers fired again. 4 muzzle flashes. 4 recoil movements. 4 hull shifts backward. 4 armor angle changes. 10 degrees to 13 degrees. 102 mm to 91 mm. Half-second windows opening simultaneously. 18 American gunners fired. Not all hit, not all timed perfectly. But most did. 14 rounds struck Tigers during recoil phase. 11 penetrated. 3 Tigers exploded from ammunition detonations. 1 Tiger took 2 hits, survived the first, died from the second. Armor breached. Crew dead. 4 Tigers destroyed in 1 engagement. American losses. 3 Shermans. All 3 were standard doctrine tanks. All 3 fired first and died anyway. The exchange rate had reversed. For the first time in the Ardennes, Americans killed more German tanks than they lost. 1847 hours. Second engagement. 6 Panthers and 2 Tigers appeared from Foy's eastern edge. German armor trying to flank American advance. Mixed tactics. Panthers attempting high-speed maneuvers. Tigers holding defensive positions. The delay technique gunners focused on frontal shots. Waited for recoil. Fired during vulnerability windows. Standard doctrine gunners engaged flanking Panthers. Used mobility. Tried to get side shots where armor was thinner. 14 minutes of sustained combat. Smoke. Fire. Explosions. Radio chatter. Crews screaming coordinates. Commanders calling targets. Loaders slamming rounds. Gunners tracking. Firing. Tracking. Firing. Results. 5. Panthers destroyed. 1 Tiger destroyed. 1 Tiger damaged and withdrew. American losses. 2 Shermans. 1 standard doctrine killed by Panther flank shot. 1 delay technique killed when the gunner mistimed his shot. Fired too early. Round deflected. Tiger killed him 3 seconds later. But the ratio had changed. 9 German tanks destroyed. 5 American tanks destroyed. First positive exchange rate against German heavy armor in frontal engagement. By 2100 hours, the counterattack secured Foy. German armor withdrew. Couldn't sustain losses. Couldn't accept new exchange rates. 3rd Armored held the crossroads. Held the supply route. Held Bastone's lifeline. Final tally for December 19, 1944. 12 German heavy tanks destroyed. 6 American tanks lost. Of 6 American losses, 4 were standard doctrine tanks, 2 were delay technique. Of 12 German losses, 11 were by delay technique. 1 was by flanking maneuver. The mathematics were undeniable. Garrett's technique worked. December 20th, 1944. Harrison filed report to division headquarters. Detailed engagement statistics. Described delay technique. Recommended immediate evaluation for division-wide adoption. December 21st, 1944. Major General Maurice Rose, 3rd Armored Division Commander, reviewed the report. Read engagement statistics 3 times. Called Harrison personally. This technique, the delayed fire, it actually works? Yes, sir. Watched it myself. 2 Tigers this morning. 4 more this afternoon. All frontal penetrations. Casualty rates? Delay technique gunners, 2 losses in 18 tanks. Standard doctrine, 4 losses in 10 tanks. Rose did the mathematics. 11% casualty rate versus 40% casualty rate. The difference was statistically significant. The technique saved lives. December 22nd, 1944. Rose ordered immediate training for all 3rd Armored Division gunners. Every battalion, every company, every crew. Learn the delay technique. Master the timing. Exploit the physics that doctrine ignored. December 24th, 1944. 1st Army Headquarters received Rose's report. Forwarded to all armor divisions. New engagement technique shows promise against German heavy armor. Recommend evaluation and testing. December 28th, 1944. Official Tactical Bulletin published. Exploitation of post-recoil armor angle, shift in engagement of German heavy tanks. Technical language. Formal documentation. But the message was clear. Garrett's half-second delay worked. Use it. Teach it. Save lives. The bulletin wasn't mandatory. Too controversial. Too different from established doctrine. Too risky for official army endorsement, but strongly encouraged for all 75mm armed Shermans. By January 15, 1945, approximately 400 Sherman gunners trained in the technique. February 1st, approximately 800 gunners. Word spread crew to crew, battalion to battalion, division to division. The technique that started with 1 rookie gunner's mathematics became standard practice across 1st Army. Results were measurable and dramatic. December 1944. Before technique. Sherman Tiger exchange rate 5.2 to 1 in German favor. January 1945. After technique adoption. Sherman Tiger exchange rate 2.1 to 1 in German favor. February 1945. 1.3 to 1 in German favor. March 1945. 0.9 to 1 in American favor. For the first time in the war, Shermans were killing Tigers at better than 1-to-1 ratio. German intelligence noticed the change by mid-January. After-action reports mentioned American tanks exhibiting unusual firing delays. Enemy gunners showing hesitation before engagement. Initially interpreted as poor training or cowardice. But Tiger, loss. Rates told a different story. January 1945 Tiger and Panther losses increased 170% compared to December. Panzer commanders couldn't explain it. Americans shooting during our recoil phase, timing their fire for maximum vulnerability. German response, attempted tactical modifications. Fire from hull-down positions to minimize recoil visibility. Rapid displacement after firing. Train crews to reduce recoil duration. But physics couldn't be hidden. 88mm guns produced 8 tons of recoil force. 56-ton tanks shifted under that force. No training could prevent it. By March 1945, German tankers reported fear of frontal engagements with Shermans. Radio intercepts captured Panzer commanders warning crews. American gunners using new tactics. Avoid extended frontal exposure. The psychology had shifted. Tigers were no longer invulnerable. Sherman crews were no longer helpless. Private First Class Thomas Garrett continued fighting through Germany, January through May 1945. His combat record: 8 Tigers destroyed, 6 Panthers destroyed, 4 Panzer IV tanks destroyed. Total: 18 enemy tanks. All frontal shots, all using delay technique. He survived the entire war, never wounded, never hospitalized, came home intact. Cole survived too. Promoted to lieutenant in February. Captain by April. Credited Garrett with saving his life 3 times. Kid thought too much. Turns out, thinking saves lives. Other delay technique gunners showed improved survival rates. 76% completed the war without crew fatality. Standard doctrine gunners. 43% completed the war without crew fatality. The statistics were undeniable. Waiting half a second increased survival by 33%. By May 8, 1945, Victory in Europe Day, estimated 1,200 Sherman gunners trained in delay technique. Post-war army analysis credited the technique with 300 to 400 German heavy tank kills. Estimated 200 to 250 American tank crews saved by avoiding standard doctrine casualties. Post-war armored school at Fort Knox incorporated delay technique into curriculum, taught as case study. Exploitation of transient vulnerabilities. Tactical innovation under extreme constraints. Individual initiative. Changing doctrine. The technique became obsolete by Korean War. New tanks, new guns, new armor. Sherman's 75mm gun retired from service. But the principle survived. Physics governs warfare. Angles matter. Timing matters. Sometimes waiting is survival. Sometimes doctrine is wrong. Sometimes one soldier with mathematics changes how armies fight. Thomas Garrett returned to Muncie, Indiana, June 1946. Returned to Purdue. Completed engineering degree. Graduated 1948. Worked as mechanical engineer for Chrysler Corporation. 37 years. Designing automotive suspension systems. Never talked about the war. When asked about tank combat, he said, "I was a gunner, followed orders, did my job." But other veterans knew. Every 3rd Armored reunion, gunners found Garrett, thanked him. "You taught me the delay. Your technique saved my crew. My kids are alive because you taught me to wait." Garrett always responded the same way. "Wasn't my technique. Was just mathematics." Thomas Garrett died in 2003, age 80. His obituary mentioned his World War II service. Did not mention he killed 18 enemy tanks. Did not mention he taught 1,200 gunners to survive. Did not mention he changed armor doctrine with a half-second delay. His funeral drew 40 people. 12 were former Sherman gunners. Men in their 70s and 80s. Men who remembered December 19th, 1944. Men who remembered learning to wait. Men who remembered that half a second meant survival. They buried him with full military honors. 3-volley salute, taps, folded flag, presented to his daughter. The ceremony was simple, professional, respectful. No speeches about changing warfare. No recognition of tactical innovation, just a veteran going home. But those 12 gunners knew what America lost, knew what one rookie's mathematics had accomplished. They stood at attention while taps played, remembered the tiger burning, remembered the half-second window, remembered that sometimes survival means thinking, sometimes doctrine fails, sometimes one soldier sees what everyone else misses. Thomas Garrett refused to fire when ordered, waited half a second, killed a tiger that shouldn't have died, taught a technique that saved 250 lives, changed how American armor fought, proved that mathematics could beat doctrine, that physics could penetrate armor, that thinking could save lives. December 19th, 1944. 7:43 1 rookie gunner. 1 tiger ace. 1 half-second delay. The moment when physics proved stronger than armor. When individual initiative changed army doctrine. When one private first class from Muncie, Indiana, showed the world that sometimes survival means waiting for mathematics to become metal. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Every like helps preserve these histories. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories every week. Real people, real courage, real innovation that changed warfare. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Our community spans the globe. You're helping keep these memories alive. Thank you for watching. Thank you for remembering. These soldiers deserve better than silence. You're giving them immortality.